This is Fins TV, a Miami Dolphins-inspired podcast. It's fueled by the power of positivity.
Welcome to Fins TV. I'm your host, Fins Sammy, aka Fins Pozo. Next time, so my co-host Steve. Welcome to another victory edition of Fins TV.
Sammy, 3 weeks in a row. This is fantastic. Wins. Earlier in the season, you just had a feeling of wondering what is going on. Are we going to get back into this feeling? And Victory Mondays or Tuesday night, hopefully this week, Victory Friday, are much better and much more palatable than trying to come on here and talk about what's going wrong. And this time we get to talk about what's going right.
It's like you said last week, 3 is a streak, so if we win this week, we're going streaking next week, Steve, so you better be ready. So on this episode, we're going to talk about the Dolphins in the hunt. The Dolphins, after a disappointing start because of Tua's injury, right back in the hunt of the playoffs. Also, Tua faces the Packers since the first time since 2 years ago on Christmas with that concussion. Those Dolphins were leading, but could not hold on to the lead, and lost that game. Steve, what can I say? The Dolphins. This is the biggest game of Tua's career till the next one. every single year seems like the biggest game of Tua's career. But we'll see what happens. Well, we're gonna start. Please go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that's really the mentality that they have to have, and that's what everybody's calling him Salty Tua, but that's really what he's been saying for the past several weeks at the podium is this is the most important game to us. We're not talking playoffs, which rightfully they shouldn't be. This next game is the biggest one, and we'll talk about it later on, but given the implications of wins and losses right now, they have to have that mentality. So every week is the biggest next week for Tua and the team.
Absolutely. Also, it's Thanksgiving week. The Dolphins did some community service, reach out to the community. We're going to give sense to the Dolphins also this week. But we're going to start with the Dolphins' victory over the Patriots. Well, Tua was on fire, Waddle was on fire, Chubb Robinson threw it to the next level. The Dolphins put over the kind of whoop on the Patriots. It was so much fun to see the Patriots media. After all the fun they made of the Dolphins, Tua has never lost to the Patriots, but it was a lot of fun to beat in the Patriots this week. A complete demolition. What?
It's always a ton of fun beating the Patriots. Beating any team is fun. Beating the
Yes.
Patriots is especially fun. It's for living through what seemed like 2 full decades of Patriots dominance in this division. It was one of those things that I always say that at some point, Patriots fans who in their entire conscious lives have never known anything other than winning championships and Tom Brady and winning, they are going to be in a very tough position. And I think that they're getting a taste of what that feels like now. I don't mind the Dolphins being the team that's handing that to them at all.
Absolutely. Steve, like you said, it's always fun to beat any single team, but the Patriots are extra special because they've talked so much crap about the years of the Dolphins. Tua was dominant. He looks flawless. The Dolphins' offense, like we talked a couple of weeks ago, it looks like it's not the same kind of offense. It's a more poised offense, a more controlled offense, not taking as much shots down the field. They're taking what the defense gives you, but the Dolphins certainly are doing very well on offense. What are your thoughts on the complete package of the Dolphins?
I want to talk about defense at some point here, but we'll go offense. So I think it's interesting, and I'll focus a little bit on what you hear in the media narrative, especially during the games when they're going on. And that's how, they're just doing these dinks and dunks, and they're doing this little drop-off stuff. Surprisingly, I did hear on Football Night in America, Chris Sims lead with that, but say how that was an actual tool that they're supposed to be using. Short passes, they're an extension of the running game. Tua doling it out to lots of different wide receivers or receivers in general, whether you're Jonnu Smith or Achane out of the backfield. I don't care how it gets done. And frankly, the fact that they have taken the load off of Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and not just absolutely beating them into the ground by this time as they did last year, I'm loving it. Absolutely love the ball control, love the keeping the defenses guessing in terms of what's going on. And as we talk Packers, I think later on they're going to bring a much bigger challenge than what we saw against the Patriots, but that's really not saying much. But absolute, Tua scrubbed in for surgery for a master class in this game of how he commanded the offense, how he took what was given to him. And Jalen Waddle, it's funny when I'm a golfer. I'm a crappy golfer, even though I've been golfing most of my life. And you get that one birdie, and that's why I used to say you get that birdie or the eagle that's really elusive. And I always say that's what keeps you coming back for more. Jalen Waddle had that this game that makes us say that's why he's around. It was really refreshing. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 140, something like that. Going back to Tua, the no-look pass touchdown to him was just, I saw it immediately, and I'm like, oh my God, that was incredible. If that was, Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, something like that, the social media would have just absolutely imploded because everybody would be losing their minds. But we had our moment with that, but it was a very, very well executed game on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. We talked so much about Waddle. The drops every other week, having a drop, or the expectations. We expected so much of Waddle, and even with his new contract, that the expectations, to be honest, were very high. But Waddle put that game together what we were expecting. What was huge for him to have a breakout game like that. The Dolphins will need it down the stretch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, people are like, why isn't he doing the Waddle? Why isn't? You know what? Personally, I don't care. You know what? He said that, too many people out in public, it kind of got washed out for him or something like that. Personally, yes. I really don't care. It's that mentality of score a touchdown, put the ball down, and just walk away, because the Dolphins know, or at least they're seeming to show right now, that they are cognizant of the fact that they have a lot of business left to get through in the rest of this season. So I don't mind at all that that's not going on. He was down to business. Admit I was happy, a little bit surprised, but very relieved that he didn't get up after a couple of those and limping and walking off the field. He was fresh. He was ready to go. And it was really good. I am going to nitpick a little bit here, and I was going to get this out of the way early, but I ran headlong into what I wanted to talk about with Tua. But this game they went away from the running game, that balance that we've been talking about that we were so happy to see. They really let off the running game. Can't complain because they were taking what they were given, but at some moments of the game, I'm like, why aren't they running? Why aren't they running? Oh, they're scoring a touchdown. Great, cool. I'm happy with it. But that's something as we get later into the season, as we get into these colder games up north, bottom line, unless we go to Houston for a playoff game or Houston, I don't know, LA, no, Houston, we're going to have a cold weather game that we're going to have to play in the playoffs, and they're going to have to use that running game.
Absolutely. Let's talk about. You wanted to talk about the defense for sure. We need to talk about the defense. The Dolphins on defense. I thought we were doing a very good job, given with what's left of the Dolphins defense. Except with Jordan Poyer, every other single player has stepped up with it within the assault. Will Fuller, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips, everybody else is hurt. But the Dolphins defense, standing for sure, when they needed to stop, they got to stop. What are your thoughts on the defense, especially on Chubb Robinson?
Are you going to make me talk right now, or can we bring in the rest of the crew? Because I know a lot of times I take away their thunder, and I don't want to be the person that steals, especially our special guest today, Adrian Rainey's thunder. But my wife, I have to go into the next room with her when we're done here, and I can't, be forgiven if I do that. So
absolutely. So without further ado, let's welcome the Fins Sammy crew of Shari, Hallen, Matt Armstrong, and our special guest, Adrian Rainey from the Rainey Day Pod. Good evening, guys.
Everybody.
Hello.
Well, as Steve said, we're talking about right now about the defense. Let's go with that. Shari, the defense certainly came through. We had so many expectations about the defense, but so many people are hurt right now. So the defense for sure came through against the Patriots. What are your thoughts on the Dolphins defense?
We have to also, when we look at the final of that game, understand that some of those points weren't on the defense, and we can discuss that disgusting display that mishap later on. But yes, when you look at the overall performance and take that turnover for a score out of the equation, for what they have in personnel, I was greatly impressed by how they came together and just were at the places they needed to be to make the plays at the right time. And we don't often see that, especially when we're thin. And it was a beauty for me to see a game like that. I happen to have the Dolphins defense in my fantasy league, and I was enjoying the fact that they weren't giving up yardage. They weren't giving up points. It was beautiful. I was impressed. Matt, what do you think?
I thought that what I saw for the Dolphins defense was a team, a unit that is doing what I expected it to be doing by this point of the schedule. That's getting a grip on Weaver's defense. Obviously, the health is a factor here. We've got some players out, but make no mistake, Dolphins teams from the past could have and would have melted against a rookie quarterback. That's true. And this team, they're fighting. There's absolute buy-in on this team, and I was very happy with how the defense performed.
Absolutely. I want to welcome our special guest, Adrian Rainey. Adrian, the man is for sure right. The Dolphins as a whole, but especially on defense, sometimes they play up to the part of the opponent. If there's a good opponent, sometimes they hang on, but they fall short. But when there's a lower opponent, they kind of go down to the level of the opponent. But the Dolphins defense for sure, and the offense against the Patriots rose to the occasion. I want to know your thoughts about the game, about the Patriots versus the Patriots. Adrian.
Offense, I love. I knew they were going to play real efficient against that defense. Tua slinging it, Waddle, Jonnu. Wish we would have ran the ball a little more, to Steve's point. But I thought the defense, other than a few plays, pretty much dominated that game. You had 4 sacks on May. So that was really great, because I felt like we needed to attack him. Then you had Zach Sealer with another game. Second half, Zach Sealer, he was throwing offensive linemen, throwing them. And then that pick by Dodson, that was amazing. And then, other than the one touchdown that May threw, that was wide open. So I believe it was a tight end.
On fourth down, yes.
Tight end, yeah.
Other than that, they did their job. I do want to say the tight ends, we letting tight ends like run roughshod over us like crazy the whole season, and I'm like starting to get over it. Weaver need to figure something out because it feels like every week we having at least one or other of the opposing team's tight ends just kind of have their way. So I think we need to correct that. But other than that, a a grade for the defense, and then obviously A grade for the offense, except for Skylar Thompson.
Absolutely, Steve. I don't know if that touchdown was before or after Walker got hurt, because Walker was playing really well against the pass, and he's gonna be a huge loss if he can't go. He can go for sure on Thursday, but if he's going for he cannot go, it's gonna be a huge loss for sure. But I want to know, you were gonna talk about the defense. I want to know your thoughts about the Dolphins defense against the Patriots.
To Matt's point, I think it was Matt. The way that Weaver is calling this defense, and all due credit to what Adrian's saying, because we are leaving pockets in the zone, and I think that quarterbacks are pulling in our linebackers a little bit and leaving them open and able to get some receptions and a lot of yards against us in total during the games. Mm-hmm. But what Weaver's put together and the team that's actually executing it, I can't say enough. This is beyond my expectations for what I really thought that they were going to be able to do, because we're picturing, hey, we've got a lot of turnover in our linebacking core, which frankly we felt we needed, but losing Wilkins, weren't too sure what was going to happen there. We're down Bradley Chubb. Agba, again, I said it a few weeks ago. Agba is Mr. Consistent. He is reliable. Absolutely love having him out there. Chop Robinson, to all the people out there who were pissing and moaning every single week about how he was a bad pick, he is coming around. He's turning those pressures into actual sacks, and he's disrupting. We saw Drake May go out there and get too much time in the pocket, and he's able to find somebody. You have that quick to, from snap to quarterback connection that Chop Robinson's at least able to do. Sealer and Calais Campbell in the middle, pushing up and putting that pressure on quarterbacks. You have to have that. So that was incredible. The Terrell Dotson interception, great. Just perfectly timed to pick the momentum up, stop them from doing anything, and get the ball right back in our hands. Jalen Ramsey, saying it every week, Mr. Consistent. It is incredible seeing what he is doing, and again, how Weaver is using him. We talked about the Brian Flores years of cover zero and how he was having everybody go in, and he used a couple people. I know Brandon Jones would go in a couple times to get those sacks, but Jalen Ramsey sitting in the slot, you just don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to drop back? Is he going to blitz? And he is causing that disruption in the game, which I absolutely love. So incredible job by the defense, in my opinion, for what they're doing. The breakdown on that, it was after because God, his name, the linebacker that got hurt, Anthony Walker Jr. Yes, it was after that. And I really think that was more on the safeties, because they saw him starting to move up a little bit. So they released and they allowed him to get behind him. Mental break, mental error happened against the Pats when we were already well ahead. Didn't happen until the fourth quarter. So I'm not going to crucify him for it, but we just can't have that happen in close games.
Shari, what are your thoughts before we go to the next topic of the defense? The defense for sure is certainly going to be needed. The Dolphins are going to go on the run going forward.
You're on mute.
Thank you. I was very happy that when we lost Walker Jr., Dotson came in and I thought did an absolutely phenomenal job. It wasn't just the interception. I saw him making plays all over the place, and it was so nice to see finally a position where somebody went out and there was depth at that position to fill in and fill that hole, rather than, oh no, our starter's out and there's nothing waiting behind him, starting quarterback. So I was happy to see that we were able to fill the holes, and I can't ask for more from the defense. And if we bring 90% of that effort Thursday night, at least I know we have a chance, and we can talk about that. I know we're going to talk about that coming forward, but I was thoroughly impressed, which I'm not always impressed with the defense. So that was a nice change of pace.
Adrian, a lot was said about the Dolphins offense for sure, and Tua was player of the week, so offensive player of the week. So it was warranted. The Dolphins offense for sure played very well, but the defense quietly made a statement. The Dolphins defense for sure held his own against the Patriots. And then against a rookie quarterback who was, at times erratic, but at times we was praying carefully. A lot of things, a lot of different things could happen. The Dolphins find a way to, to put a stump on the Patriots rally. What are your thoughts on the defense before we go to Matt?
I loved it. Other than, like I said, other than the tight end, and I'm nitpicking with that. Other than the tight end, they got 9 receptions to tight ends. That was nice, but I thought the line dominated. Secondary played great, and we got to May, and that's what we needed to do, and we got to just keep it going. That's it.
Absolutely, Matt. We talk a lot about the defense, but the defense for sure held its own. Like Drake, I know how much you like Drake May. He showed some flashes during the game, but the Dolphins defense for sure found a way, to not to give it any chance of getting comfortable behind the pocket.
Yeah, Drake May aside, and my Carolina connections there. I'll admit that I was a little bit like, hey, just tag him, and he's down. Don't break him in half or anything like that. But at the same time, watching Chop Robinson come around the end is a thrill. And I remember back when the draft happened and they announced Chop Robinson. It was a pick that made sense to me from the sense of Jalen Phillips and oh my God, I can't think of his name, Bradley Chubb, were out with severe, serious injuries. No guarantee that those guys were going to come back. It made sense. It was logical that your first pick would be somebody that you could plug in. And I don't have inside knowledge on this, but it makes sense to me that you would be hoping that first round draft pick would come on earlier than he has, but there's no doubt that he's come on. We lost Jalen Phillips. It happens. It's football. But I think that the Jalen Phillips pick now in hindsight, that's why you hired him. We were short there. We weren't going to go get a free agent to fill in behind those guys. And there was the hope, especially with Chubb. And Phillips did come back sooner, but especially with Chubb, there was the hope that the position could be held down. And I know that the guy who just unretired, Shaq Barrett, I know that he was a part of the plan as well. But my point is they drafted him, and I think that the plan was, let's see if we can't force feed him and expedite him to be able to get to this time of the schedule. So I know I took up a bit of time on defense and on him, but I want to talk to you guys real quick about the offense. Steve mentioned a couple things that triggered me about watching the game on Sunday. It dawned on me that I was watching a traditional NFL offense. What does that mean? Well, for the last couple of years, we've been chucking it. Every drop back was the hope that we'd be going for 40, 50 yards at a shot, right? Defenses aren't dumb. Defensive coordinators aren't dumb, and we've had to adjust. And this year, it has been very popular to question whether McDaniel could adjust to what was happening out there. Cheetah's not getting 110, 120 yards a game. Waddle hasn't done the Waddle since 2022, right? There's been so much angst about it. And all of a sudden, over the last few weeks, we've seen an old school traditional offense that was highlighted this past Sunday. And what do I mean by that? A number one receiver. We all agree that we've got 2 number one receivers. A number one receiver actually caught the ball, but he went for 145. And we also had a tight end that was doing serious damage, right? Those are the hallmarks of a traditional NFL offense. The only flaw that I saw, and I think this is what Steve was really alluding to earlier, is we were at 21-0 and down, goal to go, and we didn't run it once. Run the damn ball, right? This isn't the place in the real estate to get fancy. Just punch them in the mouth. Put your foot on their throat, and let's finish this thing. We did. We ended up doing it, but I would have loved to have seen a couple running plays down there. We ended up with a field goal. Points count. Points matter. I just would have rather seen a 28 up there on the board at halftime.
And Jalen
Absolutely.
Wright was running it hard that game too.
Holy moly, yes,
Yes.
for sure.
He was running it hard. And shout out the offensive line also, man. I know they don't get much love and a lot of people hate on them, but they've been playing great football. And 40 passing attempts and two only got sacked twice. I mean, you got to give it to them, definitely.
Yes.
Well, see, get reconnected. Let's talk about a little bit about the news of Chuck Barrett asking for his statement on the NFL. It was said, I saw a screenshot today. Apparently, supposedly, someone, I don't know if it was Barrett's wife or anyone, saying that the reason why he retired was because he was going to play for the Eagles. If that happens, I hope Roger Goodell is listening, because we spent nothing less than a compensatory third round pick for tampering. But I want your thoughts on and the and supposedly Chad Barrett are retiring and joining a football team, maybe the Dolphins for the for the church. Adrian, what are your thoughts on that?
I got no problem with it. I know he was dealing with a lot. He lost a child, the prior year.
Yes, sir.
Deal with.
2022, yes.
I'm sure I definitely couldn't imagine myself. But if he wants to come back, I feel like he got to take a pay cut. And if he wants to go play for another team, we could trade him for something. I'm fine with that. I feel like Chop Robinson coming on strong. Don't Chop Robinson remind y'all of Cam Wake?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes.
the explosion to the quarterback.
Yeah,
It was around
get
that,
off
yes.
on the line. But
His
yeah, I'm all good with Shaq Barrett though if he wanted to come back.
his bend coming around that end is very reminiscent of Cam Wake. And I didn't say that. I thought it, but I wasn't going to say it because it's almost blasphemous, right? It's almost like Cam Wake deserves to be a minimum up there in the ring. And I'll stand on the hill all day long that he should be in Ohio, uh, in Canton. But I agree with you 100%, Adrian. That's the second coming of Cam Wake.
If I'm not mistaken on Shaq, I'm fairly certain because the trade deadline passed in the
Yeah,
beginning
they
of
can,
Oh
November
yeah,
that he's
Yeah,
playing
that's
for the
correct.
Dolphins or he's not
yeah.
playing this season.
You're right. You're right.
but
Unless the
So I,
Dolphins release him, man, I would not be shocked either.
but I can see them doing a deal, a backroom deal. Hey, Tampa Bay or Philly or whoever, we're going to let him come back because if they don't do anything, he's not playing for anybody in 2024.
correct.
But I can see them doing a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to talk come March, April. We're going to do some sort of a deal because it's the right thing to do. And the reason I believe that is because those are NFC teams that don't impact the Dolphins directly in any way in the course of their regularly scheduled opponents.
Yep.
I don't know that this front office or this team is the kind that would play hardball and fu to a player because he's at the end of his career. But there's tons of free agents that are going to come out of there, and that agents are going to be like, "Hey, man, you remember what they did to Shaq? You remember what they
Yes.
did to him?" So I
They
don't
only have until tomorrow to make a decision, right?
right, but if they screw him over, that's not a good look
No,
come the off season.
Definitely
these
not.
things stick for sure.
Sure. So I would be shocked honestly if he played for Miami. If he does, welcome aboard, man. Let's go.
Before we get back joined back by Steve. The other thing I heard was Calais Campbell was close to being traded apparently to the Ravens, but
Yep.
maybe the Lions. But there's an understanding that they let him in on the decision and he chose to stay and not get traded. But under the understanding that the Dolphins out of the playoff race, they're gonna set him free for him to join the playoff contender. That would be the correct thing for the Dolphins to do. A fifth round pick for the Dolphins, with the luck we had in recent years, drafting late pick, so yeah, it's not a huge loss. So if that happens, set him free, let him get to a playoff contender, Super Bowl contender, and we wish him the best. He's being used. Hopefully, if he doesn't retire, hopefully he will take on the consideration playing with the Dolphins next season too. Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you, but I can see you.
Yeah, no, my camera's giving me fits right now, so I apologize.
Yeah, but you have a good picture, so.
Oh, well, hey, thank goodness for that. No, I to be fair, I don't think what we hear in the media really is a true reflection. I think Calais Campbell is a professional. He's been around the league just as long as anybody, so I think he knows what to say. My point is, I don't really know what happened and how close they really were to trading him off to the Ravens. I'm glad they didn't, because that would be one of those things like if when Tua comes back, he starts playing the way that they did, but we're missing that Calais Campbell impact, not just in terms of on the field, but also what you're seeing him do with coaching up Chop Robinson on the sidelines, of being that mature veteran presence in leadership on the field. And we lost one of the last 3 games. You just don't know what you'd be missing. So I'm very, very thankful that we do have Calais on there. We didn't trade him away. I heard you talking about Shaq Barrett. I don't want to talk about it too much, but yep, the trade deadline is gone. So the only option we really have is to cave to his desires. And my guess is he wants to. I think his family's in Tampa. He's going to want to come back and play in Tampa, and that's going to be his hope that they can let him go, because Tampa is playoff bound.
Absolutely. So next we're going to go around the Fins TV dial and our feature for the week, the Dolphins in the Hunt.
Number 9. I really like Miami. I really do. I just forget the record. This isn't the standings. Look at them since Tua arrived. He's completing like 76% of his passes, and his passer rating is 116. Now, they're going to cold weather. I can't wait to watch that game in Green Bay. But when I watch them, I see electric speed. I see all sorts of playmakers. I think their defense is better than people think. And it's their first 3-game winning streak of the year. I had them at 10 last week. I could not believe how they completely dominated New England. New England had been...
Some real growth that I'm not going to dismiss, though, because of the schedule. And if you look at Tua, just as an individual over the last 4, pop this guy up. A game against the Bills and Rams, mind you, by the way, Tua's 4th in the league in passing. 10 touchdowns, 1 pick, leads the league in completion percentage, second to only Lamar in passer rating over that span. Tua is back, okay? That's the story here. And the Dolphins are back in the playoff game and the race. They sit a game and a half back of Denver for that final spot. They're within 2 games of the loser of tonight's Chargers-Ravens game. So they're getting plus 35 odds right now in FanDuel Sportsbook. They've got a 35% chance to take it in. And Hammy, I know we're going to bump out here. We got a big show. We got Luke Kuechly, we got Kevin Clark. And I did text you yesterday, and you go, that means, the Bengals, the Broncos, all that. I don't know if they'll get in. I don't know if they have quite enough. But credit to Tua and how important he is to that offense, and credit to them giving us something very meaningful to watch on Thanksgiving. Because this Turkey Day with this Packers, and I'm going to be at some buffet somewhere in the world just crying. Got some juice to it, okay? I need some juice. I need some gravy. And if they win that one, those chances go up quite a bit.
Well, that was the nice, warm and fuzzy quote from Tua. He also had one in the Sunday post-game presser where he's like, I know the narrative, and I cannot wait to kill the narrative. And that was like, is that going to be a tattoo on like his arm? Kill the narrative. I like it. It sounds like a motif, or it sounds like a mantra to live by. Kill the narrative. The narrative's real. The Dolphins do not win in cold weather. They have not won in cold weather. And now they have a chance to shut everybody up. Tua is such a proud man, and I think it comes down on his shoulders. Like, it's Tua can't win in the cold. Well, is it Tua, or is it the fact that the last time they played in the cold, they didn't have their star pass rusher, Bradley Chubb, they didn't have Phillips on the other end, and they didn't have this player? Like, it always comes down to the quarterback. But I would say this. Teams have done it. They've killed the narrative before, and I don't look...
Tua Tagovailoa, what an incredible day he had Sunday against the Patriots. An impressive performance. It feels so good as a quarterback when you throw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns with no interceptions. That's 2 great weeks in a row for Tua. I'm excited to see what happens Thursday night at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night. Better bring your hand warmers. It's going to be cold.
Can I get to Miami, guys?
Yeah.
And them keeping hope alive? So obviously winners of 3 straight. Do you feel like, Mad Dog, they could salvage their season if they go out and beat Green Bay tomorrow?
Well, let's do the math here first, Mal. You got Denver at 7-5, and you got the Chargers at 7-4. Those and Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Yeah. So those they're going to catch the Broncos or the Chargers, and they play against each other. That's right. So, but they got easy schedules, those 2 teams. So the Dolphins are going to have to get to 10 wins.
Okay.
They're 5-6. They have the Jets twice. They play at Houston. They have a wounded San Francisco team coming to Miami. Not impossible. But for me to believe in them, They got to win tomorrow night.
That's right.
And that's why this game tomorrow night, Stevie and Jeff, there's the schedule.
Yes.
Texans have been bad. The Browns they should be able to beat maybe. But this is interesting about tomorrow night. First off, Tua 0-7 when it's 40 degrees below.
Ooh.
It's 23 degrees tomorrow night in Lambeau Field.
Yep.
That's number one. Number two, it's a short work week. I heard Joe Fontenot on radio today. Teams on Thanksgiving at home are 13-4.
Yes.
That's hard to win a road game on Thanksgiving. And Miami to Green Bay is not an hour flight.
Well, that's right.
That's a long way. So if they win tomorrow, Stevie, I'll say, hey,
Right.
you know what? Miami's in play. I'm going to have to see it first, Jeff, Steve.
Agreed.
Before I
That's
get
fair for a multitude of reasons. It's a
couple
good
of
litmus
things.
test.
Right.
Couple of things. I'm gonna tell you this right now. After that, they could win the next 5 games, still end up with 10 wins on the season, even
They could, I
with a
guess.
loss
I
tomorrow
could.
night. But having said that, let me say this: I have long dogged the Miami Dolphins. I don't even look at their talent most of the time because I know they can't play in inclement weather. I mean, there's something that happens to you when you get to the South Beach weather. You get softened up. I mean, it's like putting lotion and lathering your body and all of this other stuff and just relaxing in the sunshine. I think that's what they do. And I think that when you go into cold conditions, they just seem to be a shell of themselves. And I expect nothing different come Thursday night. But I will say this: if you end up going up, if you're the Miami Dolphins and you win that game, it's going to say a lot to me about you because of what I just finished saying about Green Bay. But I got to tell you, they need to win these other games, and they need to win a game in inclement weather for us to take them seriously.
Good point.
If you can't win a
100%.
game in 40-degree weather or below, I'm not taking you serious.
Right.
I'm just not.
Yeah.
Well, the Miami Dolphins has significantly bolstered their playoff hopes with a commanding 34-15 victory over the New England Patriots. This win marks their third consecutive triumph, propelling them to 8th place in the AFC. The Dolphins' offense, led by Tua Tagovailoa, has been firing on all cylinders, consistently putting over 30 points in recent games. With a crucial matchup against the Green Bay Packers on the horizon, Miami is poised to continue their push for the AFC Finals playoff spot. The team's recent surge, combined with a favorable outcome in other games, has them just one spot away from securing a position berth. Steve, a couple of weeks ago, it was mind-boggling to think the Dolphins will be, after losing to the Colts, in the hunt for the playoff spot. The Dolphins find a way to not trade Campbell, to secure a couple of wins, to almost win in Buffalo. They could have won that game. They should have won against the Cardinals. But having said that, they're still one game after the Denver Broncos. What are your thoughts? What are the chances you give them now? You know, a couple of weeks ago, I said that I gave them no chance to win the hunt. They're in the hunt now. What are your thoughts on the Dolphins' chances to make the playoffs, Steve? Take it away.
Well, yeah, after the abysmal stretch that we had there after Tua going out, I mean, frankly, even before Tua went out, we weren't flashing. We weren't getting it done on offense, and it was extremely frustrating for everybody. And then Tua goes out. We see an offense that's putting up 11 points per game, and you just really wonder. I was fully expecting us to be selling at the trade deadline, and we just kind of held firm. We didn't buy. We didn't sell. We just, we tapped the table and said check and move it on to the next. And frankly, that's a good thing because they gave the team an opportunity to prove themselves, to show what they're actually capable of. What they're doing right now is what I had hoped that we were going to see when we had our talks back in August, in September, before the season actually kicked off. In the hunt. We're always in the hunt. Miami is always just in the hunt. And if they have a sliver of a time when they could take the division away, it's just not there. It's the parity in this league right now is absolutely phenomenal with the the cream up at the top, the ones that just they keep on winning week in and week out. They're much more consistent. And then you have this block of teams in the middle that there's not a lot of room for error. And so I think the real tricky thing about this is we have to look at it from a standpoint of just give us a chance. For years, we've been watching this team struggle with injuries. Shari said it in an earlier point about how it's different to be able to see a linebacker like Dotson come in replacement of Walker when he went down. We're actually able right now, knock on wood, to have a next man up mentality, which is something that we haven't had that luxury of in the past. Hell, our offensive line has that right now. If you want to call freezing cold takes, go back to my takes early in this offseason and how much I was angry about the offensive line. it's incredible what this offensive line is doing. And when somebody goes down, somebody goes out for just a play or two, somebody steps in and helps. And that is frankly what in my opinion, is keeping us in the hunt here. Adrian, you've been watching the same exact games that we have this season, and you're seeing this kind of resurgence on all phases of the game. I mean, what do you think is the most important key to what is getting us right now and for this postseason push?
The defense and Tua. That's pretty much what it is. The games Tua was out, offense didn't perform, defense did perform well, maybe except for one of those games. And then, Tua comes back, has the offense running way more efficiently. We're scoring points, which is what if we would have scored, 2 touchdowns, without him, we probably would have won at least half of those games. So the defense is doing their job right now. They had a couple bad games this year, but for the most part, they've been balling out. So, I mean, I'm loving everything I see right now, man. But tomorrow they got to do it. That's it.
So and I think you hit on a really big point right there, that they've shown the ability to do it. But Matt, we've done it in the last 2 weeks against the Raiders and the Patriots. I mean, really, those are two teams that they're not in the same stratosphere as the Green Bay Packers, and they're certainly not playing at home for Lambeau for the Packers. What do you think is going to be the biggest thing? Is it that big of a deal for us to have to go up there and play in this type of environment if the outcome isn't as favorable?
I'm on the record as saying that they're going to run the table, but let's run the table the regular season. But let's go ahead and assume that we have a negative result tomorrow night. It's not the end of the world. The talking heads like to say, well, that's it for them. But the schedule has 2 games against a semi-pro team, and then the Browns, which are always a circus, Houston, which is a pretender, I think. It's possible for this team to survive a negative result tomorrow. The key to tomorrow, in my opinion, is control. Run. Use Jonnu Smith as another running back, an extended handoff. Hang on a second. Basically, what they've been doing. Last week was truly a little bit of an anomaly because he went for 400 and 300 yards. That wasn't surprising if it was a year ago. That was an off weekend for him last year or the year before. But in this new wrinkle that they have, where they're utilizing the tight end, Durham Smith had a nice catch on Sunday as well. I think it was his only catch, but they're using those players. Run the ball, make them respect the run, bring the linebackers up, bring the safeties up. If the weather isn't a nightmare, a Lake Erie type nightmare that, Steve, I know you're familiar with.
Yes, sir.
Then they have a fighting chance. The Packers are playing in the exact same conditions, and the Packers have significant injuries that they are not going to have. They're not going to be at full strength tomorrow.
Correct.
We have a puncher's chance. And as far as my prediction from a couple weeks ago, I think that this stands as one of the games that this is a part of running the table to the end of the regular season.
I think it's huge, and I appreciate your confidence as always, Matt, in running the table. You make the rest of us sound sane, so I appreciate you bringing that color this week. We really missed that last week. But, Shari, so Matt said something, and I think you can look at it from 2 angles, and I would like to know what your thought is on this. In terms of being in the hunt, yes, Miami can survive a loss here, but you can break this into 2 ways. If they go up there, and actually it can go 3 ways. They can go up there and they can lose, and they're not totally dead. Problem for the Dolphins, again, I said not to look at the division because we lose one, and all the Bills have to do is win one of their last ones, and the division is theirs. But we're not out of it entirely. We're still in the hunt. But what's a bigger thing, the hit to the record, or do you think that this team would be in danger of taking a hit to their confidence in what they've really brought about the past 4 games? I don't know, Shari.
I think that is what's key about this scenario. It isn't so much that a loss puts you out, because as everyone has said, it doesn't. But what does it do in the minds of the players and the coaches? What does it do when your quarterback is saying, I'm going to crush the narrative, and then the narrative sticks to what it was? I think it's going to depend upon several factors, though. If we were to lose, which I hope we don't, of course, how did we lose? What was the cause? Listening to everybody, and I agree, running the ball is going to be so critical. I understand it's supposed to be dry, which is a benefit. Cold and dry is a lot better than cold and slushy and just weighing down everything in the ball. So I think dry is going to help. But running the ball consistently and time of possession, if we can keep our defense off the field for a longer period of time, that increases your chances, because unless we have a backup quarterback throwing a pick six, when our offense is on the field, the most likely event, or the most likely end result of a drive, is going to be some sort of score. You keep giving it up early, then you've got their offense on the field the whole time, and our defense becomes tired on their heels. So we need to run. We need to do ball control. The narrative, it's very tough, because I do want to see them go in and crush it. I want to see them win a game under 40. I know at game time it's supposed to be in the 30s and then drop over the course of the game into the 20s. I'm sure when they're running around and they're on the field, it's not as cold to them when not as cold as if we were sitting in the stands trying to watch and just sitting there freezing. It could be very damaging to their psyche, to their mindset, especially when you're on this roll of 3 wins and everybody wanting to say, yeah, the Dolphins are back in 2, it looks great, but look who they played. I want to stop finding out, look who they beat, look who they can't. And I want to go in and win the ones that maybe a few weeks ago we thought there was no chance at all. And before I relinquish the control of the microphone, I do want to say that I need to renegotiate something in my contract for this podcast. I do not want to be on the screen that Tom Brady was on. He is persona non grata, and I don't want to hear him talk. I don't want to see his face. I don't want him associated with anything I do in any way. So I need some fair warning next time, because I may bug out.
Well, Sammy did put in, and actually, for a second there, I thought maybe the video was sped up a little bit to make him sound very hyper. Yes, and then I saw Kay Adams had, okay, all right, well, either way, Kay Adams had a big cup of Starbucks, and I think that she was overly caffeinated for that bit there. Like, she's hyper. She was overly hyper, even if you sped it up some there.
He's still with the copyright.
Oh, no, sorry, my bad. But, so, I think the narrative thing is really important here, because if we're talking about being in the hunt, every single game right now is a big game right now. Adrian, I mean, if we're looking at it, we have to treat every single game big here. So I don't think it can be just isolated to saying, hey, this is a big game, but we know that it is. You know, this is that big one that we've just been waiting on, and we saw last year. You know, it was the Chiefs, it was the Eagles, it was the Bills. You know, let's say we don't come away with a victory here tomorrow. I know we don't want to talk about stuff like that. But what makes this, do you believe in moral victories? And if you do, what makes it a moral victory to keep us in the hunt here?
I just think if it's not Tua's fault or the offense's fault, granted, the defense been playing well, and people will bitch and complain about the defense if the defense loses the game. But I feel like if it's not Tua, because that's the whole thing. Oh, Tua can't do it. The offense, you don't show up. You really have. I mean, other than that Buffalo game where we lost by 3. I mean, Kansas City last year in the playoffs, we did not show up. The offense did not show up at all. So they got some stars over there on defense. So I think they got the defensive player of the year right now over there at safety or corner. I think he's safety, McKinney. But Tua got to watch out for him. I just feel like if Tua doesn't lose the game, throw a bunch of picks, don't play well, revert back to beginning of the season when he was, tossing a couple that you're like, what are you doing, man? But I feel like if he do that, if he come out there, have a strong showing, offense have a strong showing, and it's a shootout, then that will kind of it wouldn't change the narrative, but it will kind of be like, all right, well, nobody was stopping anybody on that game, and then the last person that got the ball won the game. So,
and
but
I think
other than that,
I think that's totally fair. And to your point, I think Tua's and the offense's performance against Buffalo in Buffalo is why the media hasn't totally crucified them, and why the team is still being talked about as a legit contender, because they showed up there. It was the defense that just wasn't able to hold, frankly, an extremely powerful offense, and then a very lucky kick at the end here. So, and Matt, I want to kick it back to you one last time here. When I was asking Shari that question about the confidence thing, she answered in the affirmative, and you were shaking your head in the negative. So if you're looking at it from can we survive a loss record-wise? What about confidence-wise? We go up there and we don't perform as well. Are we able to stay in the hunt confidence-wise?
Yeah, my reaction to that was because I feel like there's a massive difference in mindset. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not an NFL player. I just act like I know everything. So I say that with the caveat of it's a road game in one of the toughest places to play. Baltimore, Buffalo, Green Bay, right? Those are difficult places because the teams are good and weather is a part of it. If this was a home game, and I even hate remembering the Titans game last year.
Ugh.
If this were a home game and it was a negative result, I think there's validity to the throw in the towel mindset. But I think that we have one of the benefits of having one of the oldest rosters in the NFL is a lot of maturity comes with that. They've been there, they've done this, right? And I truly think that if they go up there, and to Adrian's point, they don't absolutely lose it like the first Buffalo game in Miami. I was a better quarterback that night than Tua was. Everybody on this panel could have played that night. It was that bad. If they don't do that, if they're in a dogfight all the way to the end, the Buffalo game in Buffalo, the Cardinals game, games that came down to the end, I don't think there's any reason for that team. I think that their maturity is there, and I think that the leadership is there. There's no reason in my mind for that team to cash in. If it were a home game and those same things happen, the bad play of the first Buffalo game, I think that there's plenty of room for people to look around and go, hey, man, what they say about us is true. And just mail it in from there. Yes, I believe they win tomorrow, but I think that they are in a knockdown, drag out, and I think that they have the people in place that they'll pull it off. If I'm wrong, so be it. I've been wrong before. It's not often, but it can happen. I think that it's a close game.
I would like to say something before we move on, because we have all discussed what it will do to the narrative and the team's psyche if we lose. We keep saying, if we lose, can they recover? If we lose, let's look at the flip side. Can you imagine what it does for them when we win? Because now you've gone in, you've broken the narrative, you've shown you can play anyone, anywhere, even after the season that we've had so far before these last 3 games. Now in all of those players' minds is, look what we've done. So now we know when we make it through to the end, we have a chance to win that one too, because we're gonna have to go somewhere cold in the playoffs. That's just the bottom line. We make it to the playoffs, we're going somewhere cold.
Yeah,
we can do it. We've done it.
Yeah.
So the flip side of this is when they win, it's gonna be an amazing confidence booster, and it can help propel them to such better things through the year, knowing it's been done now, that's behind us, look what we can do.
I think I agree with that. And the playoff, the potential playoff, we spend a lot of time talking about, is this is this a season killer or a season maker? let's not forget there's a few other teams out there that have to play their games too, and they have to win their games, or they fall back in the hunt, right? See, they agree. That dog agrees with me. My point is they win here in Green Bay. Denver is a potential playoff game. I've seen that stadium. There's no dome on it, right? Buffalo obviously is a potential playoff game. The amount of Shari's point is valid. The amount of good feeling, yeah, we can do this, is through the roof. What is also going to be through the roof is the media jumping all over, just like they did last year, just like they did the year before, because of all the fireworks of how the offense was. And then your risk is coming up short. And then that's when the narrative pops back up that it's the same old Dolphins. They're never going to win. All show, all flash, no substance. That's really where that comes in. The answer to that is ignore the media. Go out, do your job, win the game, move on to the next game. By the end of the season, maybe we get a home game out of this. I don't know.
That's good. Crazy there. And I want to close this out, but you guys bring up some phenomenal points here. And in last year, with the way that this team carried themselves off the field, and how you really didn't see a veteran presence from some of those bigger names resonate onto the field, I see it differently this year. And somebody had said that they've been there before. We have some veteran presence on here that has been deep in the playoffs, that have raised that Lombardi trophy, and they have been there. And I feel like last year we didn't see that hunger. This year we're seeing a combination of a transformation in Tua to a much more confident and mature version of him, and we're seeing those veteran presences actually step up. And again, I'm going to say it like I've been saying it a lot of times on this show this year. Calais Campbell is a stalwart of veteran presence and a model of that other team members are modeling themselves after, I guess I should say. But excellent discussion here. Sammy, I don't know if there's anything you want to add before we move on to the Packers.
Oh, let's a little bit more to say, but let's say in the Packers segment. Let's go to the Dolphins. Now we'll throw this tomorrow, Thanksgiving night, to Green Bay. Oh, I know, Shari, they are annoying as hell, but I had to do what I had to do. The injury report. Like I said, the Dolphins, they're how hurt they are, but compared to the Patriots, the Packers. The Packers are expected not to be without Romeo Doubs, without Jerry Alexander, so they have their own losses. As out right now, Kendall Fuller we know is out, Anthony Walker we know is out, and Teron Armstead, I think it's a game time. It's questionable. I think it's a game time decision. How they compare? Well, as you know, the Dolphins right now the 20th ranked offense. The Packers have the 5th ranked offense. The 3rd rushing offense. The Dolphins has to find a way to stop the run. So that's really important for them to do. The Dolphins have the 7th ranked defense. That's huge. You would not think the Dolphins, after all that's happened, will have the 7th ranked defense, but they do. And the Packers have the 12th ranked defense. On the weather, it's Green Bay. What do you expect? As most chance of rain showers, and it's going to get colder as the night goes on. 13% mile per hour wind. So the wind could prove to be a huge factor for the game. We don't know how big of the impact the weather is going to have. But I'm going to go to before we talk about the Packers. I want to go, Steve. I want to talk about a comment by Cosa Nostra. He wanted to talk. We talked about something over here. Let me find the comment from Cosa. Here we go. There you go. He said, "What's the panel's opinion on how Tua is going to play tomorrow?" An honest opinion, because most of the panel considers Tua not the guy. I don't think that's correct. For if if I'm not mistaken, I do personally believe that we're one of the most pro Tua, most positive Tua panels on the whole Dolphins nation. But I'm a huge believer in Tua. Of course, I have my reservations, but I'm pro Tua. I think we all know his limitations. But if you ask me, tomorrow night the key is the running back. The Dolphins found a way to establish a running game like Mike McDaniel as a run game coordinator did for the 49ers against the Packers once in that playoff game. The Dolphins have a huge chance to win the game. But I want to know your thoughts. I'm going to say Steve. Uh, it's a question about Cosa Nostra. What do you expect from Tua tomorrow night?
It kind of makes me uneasy to talk about this because the fear in me that I've been there before, I've been burnt by this before mentality, it's real. And there's been a couple instances where some snaps from the center go astray a little bit. He's thrown off his game a little. We don't know how rambunctious or raucous this crowd is going to be at Lambeau tomorrow. There's a lot of factors, but I'll keep it as succinct as I possibly can. I think that he is going to go in there with a mentality of managing the game the way that they have been the past 3, 4, or 5 games. And with that, I think he's going to play better than he has in the past. I don't want to see him try to take on too much, because when he tries to do too much and force it and take not what's given to him, but what he wants to be given to him, that's when it can start to snowball. And we can't allow that heavy-handed punch to hit us. That's what I think. And just to be fair to what you said, I am personally pro Tua. I just acknowledge the limitations that he has, and I think that's the fair way to go about it. Yeah, Adrian, I don't know. I mean, how do you think Tua is going to do tomorrow night?
I'll keep it short. I think he's going to play well because I think we're going to run the ball like we're supposed to in that cold weather. We got to smash him in the mouth, man, pretty much.
Yes.
Run the shit out the ball. Have Tua do, what Tua can do.
I'm putting that on a shirt.
Have him do
be a lot better than that stupid emoji from Buffalo last year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I think he'll play well.
How about you, Matt? What are your expectations tomorrow? You're the most positive person I know. I know you've always been positive on Tua, but what are your thoughts about how you expect Tua to play tomorrow night?
I'm going to start off by saying I really wish Adrian hadn't used profanity there, not because it offends me, but because it makes me want to just be myself, which is
please.
Yeah, this is a family show.
Oh, come on!
I'm bad. You ever watch my show?
Yeah. Listen, it's unfair. It's unfair to say that the majority of the panel is down on Tua. He was the projected number 1 pick in the year he came out. Nobody in their right mind can say that what he's doing now, what he did last season, what he's doing now, is anything less than what was expected. He was expected to be the guy coming out. Had he not been hurt, he's in Cincinnati. And that's not revisionist history. That's a fact. Joe Burrow's not in Cincinnati. I don't know if he's here. I don't know if Herbert's here. But Tua is playing exactly like the experts thought he would be. I agree with what Steve said. Absolutely. I don't know that if he went to another offense that he would be as successful. And there's always the risk that we all know about. I am on the record in the past of saying that he's the second best quarterback that this team has ever had.
For sure.
And this is a professional football team that has 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. So heavy praise from me on that guy. As far as tomorrow, I have no idea what the game plan is, but it only makes sense that you stick to what's gotten you here.
Absolutely. Dance with the one who brought you.
A ball control offense. Take what the defense gives you. We know that team is beaten up, and the defense needs to hold their own serve. I watched about a half of the Niners Green Bay game, and that Jordan Love doesn't look too bad. And that dude looks like he's a baller. And the last thing I want to say is I have a deep-seated hope that Green Bay is always good, because there's nothing more fun than football in those cold climates, the snow, the potential for snow and stuff like that. Having said that, I'm really thankful that tomorrow is supposed to be just cold and not the precipitation and the stuff that can happen up there and can happen in Buffalo and places like that. I think the Dolphins, if they control the ball, do not. Turnovers are a killer. Turnovers are they're truly the game changer. I think that the Dolphins win.
What is Shari? What is expectation for Tua for tomorrow?
I know that I've said in the past that I think Tua should have retired, and that's not because I don't have faith in his ability. I can't disagree that he's the second best quarterback we've ever had. That came from a heart and a mind of a mother and a wife. I'm not the one who says Tua is not the guy. When he's healthy, there is no other guy I want back behind our line throwing the ball and running that offense. So, I mean, looking at this panel, I'd say we're fairly pro Tua. I think he's going to do well, because we're going to put it out into the universe that he's going to do well, and we're going to let the universe run with that. And he has shown us since he's been back that he can and he will run that offense to the what they give him. I'm hoping he continues to not force it, to not try to find plays where there aren't any, and I want them to stick with a game plan, run the ball down their throats, run the shit out of the ball, as I heard somebody else say earlier. And I think if he continues to do what he's been doing and keeps the mindset of we've got this, yes, he's going to go in there and win, and I can't wait to see it.
Steve, Tua is playing like a chip on the shoulder, and it shows during the press conference. He said he wants to stop some narratives. A lot that has to be said, because his record on cold weather games, we all know what the record is, but it's not only Tua. The Dolphins on cold weather game has been historically bad. So to put that on Tua is kind of unfair.
No, it's entirely unfair, but it's legit, because until you prove that narrative wrong, it's going to carry with you. Yes. And it's just like the Patriots haven't ever beat Tua, so what's their narrative? Losers. But it's unfortunate that this game up in Green Bay with this weather isn't immediately the week after them going up to Kansas City and playing in sub 20 below temperatures, because this would feel like a heat wave compared to that. So is it inclement? Yes, Tua does have those, and it's up to him to break that narrative, but it shouldn't fully be on his shoulders. Transitioning, taking the pressure off of Tua's back with that narrative, because he has to do that. Let me stick with it for a moment. The one image I have of this narrative that is most lasting is him in Frankfurt, Germany last year, and that final drive where he mishandles a snap, the what could have been the game tying or possibly game winning touchdown to Tyreek. Tyreek is on a fly to the far corner, and he throws like Tyreek was going to stop short. So Tua just needs to manage his emotions during this game and get past that opening sequence of scripted plays and take what's given to him. But, transitioning to the Packers game itself, in my opinion, this is the most well-balanced team that we have faced this year. You put the stats up there. They're 11th in defense. They're right. They're giving up as many rushing yards as we are getting per week. So that's kind of a wash right there. Their offense is the 5th in the NFL right now. That's legit. Jordan Love is legit, but what is a quarterback's best friend, Matt?
The running game.
Running game. Josh Jacobs is an absolute beast. He's putting up 151 yards on average on the ground. He's almost at that's as a team, but he's almost at 1,000 yards already this season. And I was watching the little bit of the Packers game, and they just kept on saying, "There goes Josh Jacobs. There goes Josh Jacobs." He's a truck, and they've got to be able to stop him, because if they don't, then it's only going to take a matter of time before we collapse our safeties and linebackers in, and they're going to end up hurting us deep. So that's my biggest thing right there. And again, from an offensive perspective, I said it earlier, it's really great to see that they've realized that there is life after Hill and Waddle. They're not gone on this team. They're there. They're contributing. They're blocking downfield. They're spreading the field out for the rest of the players. But we really need to heavily leverage that balance of spreading the ball around and run the ball. McDaniel still has a tendency to give up on the run a little bit too quickly. Run the ball.
Yeah, but if you ask me, he's done a much better job. The last couple of weeks of not going over the run. Even if it's not working, the game plan has been better. He's making a much better case of
the eye test tells me that he has done a much better job. I'm not looking at stats, but also what we have to look at is how many fewer on the eye test. Again, I'm not looking at stats, so somebody could prove me wrong here. Is how many fewer 3-and-outs we're having right now. So we're having that opportunity to go out there, run the ball some, but hey, we're also passing the ball a lot because, oh my God, we're actually extending drives and going down the field and eating up clock. That's something as a Dolphins fan I'm not used to. Shari?
Time of possession for the Raiders game for us was the key. We had the ball so long, our defense got to rest, and that's exactly what I said. One of the keys to this game is you keep your offense on the field, you run it, you dump it off to Jonnu, you've got Hill, you've got Waddle, you've got weapons everywhere. I am over looking for a quick strike offense. Is it fun? Yes. Is it exciting? Of course. Does it help you win? Not unless you're doing it the whole game, which you're not going to do. So I'm okay with one, let me see one of those a game. I'm cool. Great. If Hill can get under it, that's awesome. But we need to control the ball consistently like we did in the Raiders game. If we can have ball control like we did against the Raiders, against Green Bay, there's no question in my mind we come out with a win. So I'd like to see them stick with the game plan I'd like to stick with the game plan that we have called on our podcast. So hopefully they're listening. Like McDaniel, give us a call if you need some advice, because we clearly know exactly what this team needs to do. Now they just need to go do it.
How about you, man, before I go to Adrian? It's a huge test tomorrow for the Dolphins. I know you're confident the Dolphins win. The weather could be a factor. The wind certainly is a factor because, of course, like a player like Tua, the wind affects the game plan. But the Dolphins run the ball. The Dolphins could have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, a year ago, I would have had a completely different mindset. But this year, I want to take you back to the second Buffalo game and the Cardinals game. They were in those games, and it wasn't because of the quick strike. And Shari, I agree with you as much as I ever have in my life that the quick strike is fun, it's great, it's exciting, it's fireworks. You know who doesn't like the quick strike? The defense. We were just out there, guys. Can't you 4.6 a carry? Come on, grind this out. That is a killer to your defense. So this year, though, they were right there in the Cardinals game. They were right there in the Buffalo game. They did it against the Raiders. They've done it 3 straight, and it's been effectively a ball control offense. I stopped short of saying that he's learned his lesson because on Sunday, goal to go, and they threw it 3 consecutive times. Like, you've got your foot right there. Put it on their friggin' throat and snuff them out, especially the Patriots. Okay, we got a field goal out. All right. So I don't know that they've completely learned their lesson. Maybe they have. Maybe they've looked at each other and gone, we can't do that next time we get to that position. We're going to run the F out of this ball.
So close.
Run it. And then if you have any questions about it, run it some more. By the way, Raheem Mostert has not gotten that much play, and I'm of the mind that they are saving him, the wear and tear on an older body, saving him for games just like this.
I hope so.
You're going to want to rotate your backs. I have a feeling he might be a player tomorrow night.
And when we talk about the time of possession, we also have to keep reminding ourselves and everyone else that those quick strike that take 20 seconds, that's 20 seconds in real time that your defense is resting. When you have a 7 or 8 or 9 minute drive, that's 15, 20 minutes in real time for the defense. It's a much different recovery time. It's a much different get yourself a breather time than 20 seconds compared to 20 seconds. So it's key. Our defense is going to need that time to regroup, and our offense needs. I'm looking forward to it. I'm scared. I'm very, very scared, but I'm so excited. I can't wait until tomorrow night.
Adrian, the kind of style of offense, the West Coast offense, the kind of 49er playbook offense that Mike McDaniel brought to the table is supposed to be a sharp. They don't have a huge running game, but the short passes are are supposed to to control the game, to control the weather. If the Dolphins find a way to do some short passes, control the game with short passes, that had Jonas playing huge the last couple of weeks. If they find a way to the running game, if Ingles part of the game plan is healthy, the Dolphins have a chance. But I want to know your thoughts before we go to our thank you notes segment.
Absolutely love everything y'all saying. Grind it out on offense. I want to say the defense, though. If we could stop Josh Jacobs or slow him down and we're scoring points, Jordan Love will give you some. He got 11 picks on the season. He'll give you a few. So if we can capitalize on that, but the big thing on defense definitely going to be stopping Josh Jacobs, and I think our secondary is up to the challenge with their young receivers. A little scared about the tight ends because they do got a couple great ones. But other than that, I feel like if the offense grinds it out, like you guys said, defense will take care of everything else. And we'll get the win. I'm confident we'll get the win tomorrow.
And last thought, Steve?
Nope. I'm enjoying this, man. This is good. Outstanding content. I want to hear what everybody's thankful for.
Okay, let's go to let's do some thank you notes. What is Thanksgiving week? So we had a lot to be thankful in our personal lives, but we have a lot to say thank you about the Dolphins. So I'm gonna start with Adrian. Adrian, that's the question. Who are you thankful the most on the Dolphins this season?
I'm gonna go other than two. I'm gonna go with the offensive line. I'm proud of the offensive line, the way they played. A lot of they caught a lot of crap. You know what I'm saying, coming into the season. So I feel like they played well. If we can get the running game going a little better, but that's because it's not being called so much. But I feel like offensive line has lived up and surpassed all expectations that they were supposed to be this season. So offensive line, definitely.
Absolutely. How are you, Matt? Who are you thankful the most on the Dolphins?
I'm thankful that there appears to be a quantitative change in mindset. We've talked about it quite a bit. I know I have tonight on this show. The last couple of years has been all flash, and which reminds me that the narrative about Tua was that he was a dink and dunk passer, and in reality he had the most yards yards per attempt. He led the league in yards per attempt, but the talking heads were all, oh, it's just dink and dunk. And all of the fans were like, oh, he's awful. He's just a dink and dunk. Are you kidding me? Have you seen what this guy's doing? The reality is now he is a dink and dunk quarterback now. And I'm thankful that there has been an apparent, I don't want to say it's a mindset change. I think that it's a football coach, a coaching staff. They clearly know more about this than we do. They clearly know that that's another part of the evolution of a football offense. We can't live and die by the quick strike. You've got to add something more. They've done that. I'm thankful for that. In one more thing, I'm thankful that there's not going to be any snow tomorrow. I know I just said that I love playoff football when it's in Green Bay because there's a good chance of there being snow. But the forecast for tomorrow is free and clear of any precipitation. So that means that the field conditions will be the same for everybody. I'm thankful that they're playing on Thanksgiving. We're due a national televised game like the Pittsburgh game from last year. We're due for that. And I'm thankful that my belly's going to be full and I'm going to plop right in front of my TV watching another Dolphins W.
Lots of tryptophan. How about you, Shari? What do you think of the Dolphins?
I am thankful that our Dolphins have finally figured out that a tight end is a position on the field and that you can utilize that position to score points and move the ball. So I'm very thankful for Jonnu Smith. I couldn't be more thankful for Jonnu Smith than I am right now. I'm so impressed with the fact that they've worked him into this game plan, and he's consistent. And when they do go to him, 9 times out of 10, he's going to catch it. There's going to be yards after catch. He's breaking tackles. I am thankful for the tight end position finally for the Dolphins.
Well, except Julian Hill. How about you?
I thought that was a given. I don't like to bash people when I'm being thankful. I'm telling you what I'm thankful for.
How about you, Steve? What do you think of the most of the Dolphins?
I really enjoy segments like this because it's not a, hey, everybody saw this type of thing. This is looking inside our own minds and vision of what we're seeing here. So I like hearing what everybody's input is. It's really cool. Matt, just FYI, you and Costa seem to be having, like, he's typing, you're talking, you don't think it's going to snow, he's saying snow is coming.
Yeah,
either way, everybody can agree we're going to dress warm. But no, back to topic here. I'm most thankful for a what and not a who. And my most thankful in the 2024 Dolphins is the simple fact that they have somehow learned to get to the line of scrimmage with enough time on the clock.
Most of the time, but yes.
I mean, most of the time. Look, hey, we're going from at what seems to be an average of 8 seconds. Right now I'm seeing it seems like about 15 seconds on the clock. That is an eternity for Tua to get up to the line of scrimmage, see what they're giving him, get his people set, move people around, do the fancy motion and everything. That is, in my opinion, Sammy, you know, man, I've been banging the table for this since we first had our episode. It was my biggest thing from year one of McDaniel. They didn't address it last year. I am so thankful that is seemingly being addressed right now, and hopefully it carries forward, because that right there, I think, adds so much possibility and potential to this offense that we didn't have before.
Absolutely. Well, the other question for me, I'm thankful for Tua's health. Because if Tua is not healthy, we'll not be talking to all these conversations. 100%. But having said that, Calais Campbell, I'm so and Sancy there. Calais Campbell, man, what could have been if that guy would have been the Dolphin like 6-7 years ago with that kind of leadership, the voice of God in the locker room that someone calling him. He's such a leader. He's such a man amongst men, and if he doesn't retire, I don't know. He rises. And my dad doesn't because as a coach he's crazy, and if he plans to play another year, I will be more than happy if the Dolphins find a way to bring him back. On my personal life, I'm thank you to all of you, to Shari, to Matt, to Adrian, Steve. Thank you for since day one being part of this. To all the friends, the friends of the show, our friend Jason Sarney, Jake Mendel, Armando Salguero, and so many others who join us every single chance they can. I'm pretty thankful for them. So I appreciate you all. And hopefully everyone have a safe Thanksgiving tomorrow, and enjoy it with your family and your friends, and have a great day tomorrow.
And real quick on that note, Sammy, I want to say thank you to everybody who shows up and actually watches us. Sit here and talk. Last year, it was just literally a bunch of dudes, and now we have Shari on here. We have some female presence on here. I called us a bunch of schmucks. We're still just a bunch of average Joe football fans here. We're schmucks and Shari.
Sounds like a band.
But I appreciate everybody showing up every week or whenever they get an opportunity to. Giving our feature segment last year almost 1,000 views was phenomenal. So we appreciate everybody showing up and spreading the word. We know that winning brings a lot of people and clicks to what we're doing here. So hopefully we keep winning, because we enjoy having everybody sitting here watching what we talk about.
Absolutely. With that thought in mind, let's go to the finish. Well, I appreciate you all for watching. Please like and subscribe to a lot of people watch tonight on all platforms, especially on X. Let's go straight out to the top 5 power rankings. not a lot of movement this week since everybody basically won on the top 5. So it's basically the same. The Vikings are number 5. The Eagles are number 4. The Chiefs are number 3. Had a scare against the Cardinals. The Panthers. At number 2, the Bills. And at number 1, the Detroit Lions. Well, the Pickle League got interesting this week. A lot of movement this week. At number 10, Shari. At number 10, Bobby Fitzstock at number 9. Sean Stanley will go show at number 8. Luke from there, number 7. Tiffany at number 6. The Fin Trooper, Chris at number 5. Steve Halley at number 4. Our friend Jason Starr number 3. The Adrian number 2. And number 1, Bearded Fanetti.
Okay.
Try.
Oh, Steve was giving himself a victory lap. He was at number 3 for 24 hours, but Steve
there was no way in heck I was going to pick the Ravens to beat them, but I applaud you guys that did. That was impressive.
Jesus Sarni right now at number 3, our friend Jesus Sarni, but Steve at number 4. It's like the European Soccer League. You have a number 1 tier, number 2 tier. They have number 1 tier with Adrian and Bearded, and we are all packed up in the number 2 tier. Adrian, where can they find you on social media? Adrian.
At Rainey Day Pod, all socials and YouTube. Not a family show.
Variety, that's a great thing. Matt, thank you for joining us this week. I know you were busy during the day. You find a way to join us. Shari, as always, you're great. Steve, great show, great segment. Steve is gonna take over the feature segment. Gives me some time to rest my mind, and Steve does such a great show, a great show every single week. So he's for now going forward, he's gonna take it to the feature. So Steve, you did a great job.
No pressure. I'll just figure out these camera issues when we get off here today. So, but nope, that was awesome. Great show today.
Have a great Thanksgiving tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate you all. Please go to YouTube. Help us out. Please subscribe to YouTube, Fins TV. Well, have a safe Thanksgiving day tomorrow. Let's get a win tomorrow. And so always remember, when you say Miami, you're the Super Bowl.
Fins
up, y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching Fins TV. Please like and subscribe. See you next week. Fins up.